Folks, welcome to the Musical Instrument Museum. It's the Jake Feinberg Show, and we are joined today by the consummate teammate and legendary drummer, master drummer, I dare say, David Garibaldi. Welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Thanks, Jake. Good to be here.
You know, I read somewhere in one of my posts you talked about Bill Graham being misunderstood, but he kicked you guys in the ass a few times, Tower of Power. Could you talk about an example of him, because why he was misunderstood, but how he helped you grow as a band?
Well, misunderstood in that, he didn't like to be messed with. And if you were dishonest in any way or tried to scam him, then, you'd have a problem with him. But if you were straight ahead, he was great. He was generous, wonderful guy, very pleasant to us.
Could you give an example of when he told you the truth, when you didn't necessarily, when he kicked you in the butt to grow as a band? That was kind of the overarching point, was like, you said he was misunderstood, but you understood him because he told you the truth when maybe you didn't want to hear it.
Yeah, well, I think, for that particular thing, you can talk to Mimi and Doc. They can give you like a in-depth, because they were the ones that were dealing with Bill on a regular basis, when we were trying to get out of our contract with him. And, we had some shady characters around us, and he was trying to protect us from, going down the wrong path,
Some cats wanted to go down that path. He said, don't go down that path.
Yes. So basically, yeah. So, we had interesting characters around us at one time.
The guy that popped into my head today driving up here was Al Jackson. Did you hang with Al
No.
when you cut that? But you got tight with Cropper and Duck Dunn and those cats when you went to.
Well, I wouldn't say tight. I mean, Steve produced.
Right.
Well, he was not the producer of record. He was there at the sessions every day when we did Bump City. We recorded at his studio, Trans Maximus in Memphis, and so Ronnie Capone was also the engineer, but he was the producer of record because Steve. Was under some sort of contract dispute or something with Stax, and so he couldn't have his name used on the recording. But he was there. He produced every session. He was there with us.
How much did that Stax sound mean to you when you were playing in the military, but also in soul bands? I mean, to me, I was thinking, like, I looked at your discography. You wound up on a Chris Hillman album with those cats. So they dug did you know them? Were they influential to you prior to you going to make the record there?
Well, I don't know how to, of course they were, because there was part of the sound of the time. There was a Stax sound, there was the Motown sound, all of that. And so, that was just part of a sound of the time. So, Otis Redding, Wilson Pickett, stuff like that. And so, Steve and, all those guys played on those recordings, great recordings. And there was, the Muscle Shoals thing, there was that going on. So there was a lot of great rhythm sections and great recording being done, in that time.
When was your first time to go to New York City?
We went with Santana to play the Fillmore East.
So, and that would have been maybe 69?
No, that was like 71.
So I wanted you to talk to the younger cats out there about, I asked, I won't tell you who I asked because the world's caved in on him since then, but would you be able to, early 60s or mid 60s, describe the difference in sound between West Coast jazz and East Coast jazz in the mind of David Garibaldi?
Oh. I didn't think so much about it, to be honest.
Did you notice a difference between the West Coast jazz and East Coast, the bebop versus West Coast jazz?
Well, not till later, when I understood that music more, and but at the time in the '60s, early '60s, I was learning how to play, man, and I couldn't play that well, so I was making my way, learning, hearing different things, and listening to a lot of different kinds of music, being influenced by a lot of things. But I couldn't at that time tell you the difference between East Coast jazz and West Coast jazz.
Did you have a leaning towards those, to any of those drummers as a, Shelly Manne versus Max Roach? I mean, the Julian Priester and some of those cats talked about just that urgency of bebop, wanting to continue that lineage, versus what was going on the West Coast?
I don't know that I can speak.
Don't worry about it. Talk to the audience about this. What is it about Tower of Power? Can you just talk about, in general, a musical conversation? Sometimes I get up, I look at live music and I see people get up there. They're not listening. They're wanking it. Can you talk about the musical conversation? I'm interviewing Steve Swallow on Wednesday. I think about Bill Evans, the trio conversation. Roger's talking about you guys doing trio quartet stuff. Can you just talk in general about the nuances of a musical conversation?
I think, it's about listening. I think that's the primary thing that you have to do so that you fit in to whatever conversation is going on. I think that listening is the greatest conversational skill, outside, not even music, just, in general. If you're a good listener, chances are you're a good conversationalist, And so music is about interacting with the other people on the stage and how that goes, listening to one another. I mean, it's probably the greatest thing that musicians can do together is listen to one another. A lot of great music comes from that.
Did you need to do ear? I mean, a lot of cats now, Gary Bartz and those guys, they teach their students ear training. But your ear training came on the bandstand, or did it come in academia?
Well, when they say ear training, I mean, what are you talking about? Harmony and all of that.
Well, I mean, just where did your ears grow the most?
Playing music, playing music. And where I grew up in the Bay Area, there was a lot of music going on, and so there are a lot of terrific players and a lot of great bands and a lot of interesting things to go see. And so, it was a really terrific mix of different styles of music, really great stuff. And, it shaped the way that all the players there think about things,
Can you talk about we just lost Mel Martin. You used to cross paths with him with Azteca, is that right?
Yeah.
Can you talk about his significance?
Mel was he was a great guy. We didn't play together ever, but we knew each other, and I knew him from, seeing him in bands and that kind of thing, and he had a great reputation in the Bay Area, and just in music, terrific player, great person. But, we were in different scenes, so we didn't really cross paths that often.
You talked to me last time about you look for inspiration all over the place. You find it all over the place. Can you talk about spiritually how you've grown since? Actually, I was going to meet you in January, but you got into an accident, and I know that you're going to be able to come back and tell me that you've been inspired. But can you tell the audience how spiritually, how you've evolved this year after a very scary incident, and now to have that rhythm section back on the bandstand at the end of this year?
Yeah, I just try to live in the moment, man. I'm still healing up. As far as spiritually, my spiritual inclinations were the same before as they are today, and it helped me to get through, this period. Lots of people, I don't know, what people have a lot of different beliefs. I have Christian beliefs, but I also, believe in, mankind, human interaction, and I have a lot of really nice people writing me and pulling for me and, telling me that they were praying for me and different things, and it just meant a lot, and it helped me. It helped me to get to where, I am today. I never felt like I wasn't going to be able to be sitting here today.
You are sitting here today. What as you look ahead? I mean, you just stay in the moment. So, what's in your head right at this point in time? I mean, you have the set list taped to the bandstand. I mean, are you worried?
Yes.
I mean, Emilio said, the crowds are. Do you notice in your crowds a youth experience, or do they generally stay from the generation that?
I think it depends on where we play. I mean, we have people from all over the place, age groups, demographic, lots of different people come to see us, depending on where we are in the world, that kind of, has a lot to do with it. We play in Europe, we have a pretty young audience. Japanese audiences are young. We play here, we have a lot of old fans and that kind of stuff, older fans that bring their kids and, their extended families and all that stuff, And so, it's pretty cool. There's a lot of young people still checking us out, which is a great thing. I think we have a lot to offer, young people in terms of how to put a band together, keep a band together, perform at a quality level all the time, So those are the things that you see when you come to a Tower Power show, Plus it's fun and, it's good.
You get down. I've been driven on this mission by your generation drummers. So just give me a phrase or a line or an adjective when I call off the names. What comes to your mind? Okay.
Okay.
Gregorico.
Unique.
Michael Shreve.
The first.
What does that mean?
The first.
The first, and what does that mean?
Woodstock, man. Drum solo.
The first to be captured on television, right?
Well, he was the first of his generation kind of like to do what he did.
Okay, but just for people that are going to watch in 50 years, what did he do?
Go see Woodstock. Go see the movie Woodstock.
Mike Clark.
Check out
Mike Clark.
Records. Mike Clark, my brother.
Harvey Mason.
Professional.
George Marsh.
Also unique. Super unique.
Before I let you go, can you just talk about, does legacy matter to you at all? I mean, what do you want to leave with? You're going to be around for a while. You were meant to be around for a while. I think that the Bible says that. I mean, you overcame a lot.
Yeah. Well, as far as legacy, I don't think about that. The story is still being written, and for, legacy is for other people to,
like me,
to write and, that sort of stuff, but we're still writing the story. So I don't think about what happens after.
I dig. Do you have any inspirational words for peeps out there who are trying to blow away the blues in this time? If what's your word? What's your word to the wise for them?
Oh, I guess just kind of be yourself.
What does that mean, though?
Well, everybody's inspired to be them. Something. Work hard. Kind of push yourself into different areas to challenge yourself. And just, don't be afraid, man. Get out there and be yourself. Enjoy yourself, Love people. Treat people fairly. That sort of thing.
David Garibaldi, it's an honor to talk to you. It's an honor to meet you, man.
A pleasure, Jake.
Cheers, brother.